We went to Cebu, delivered some cargo, then eventually flew back to Manila. But not without embarking on a quick side trip. And where to? We stopped by the city of Golden Friendship on a short layover, visiting Cagayan de Oro City, and exploring the place with the little time we had before heading back to Manila. All this and more on Airline Travel and Airports. My journey begins early in the morning at Terminal 2, where I do my check-in, assisted by airport staff Flipstone for my usual flight to Cebu. This is one of the many cargo runs I do, flying out of Manila in the morning and returning home in the afternoon of the same day, enjoying the same old routine and still marveling at the magic of air travel. But today's a different day, as we won't be taking a direct flight later back to Manila. And excited as I am, we just have to complete our very important mission first. That is, to deliver our precious cargo to our client, who's as eager in waiting for their goods at arrivals as we are in going on a side trip soon as we hand the boxes over. After delivering our cargo, we went straight to departures to check in for another flight, one that will take us back to Manila with a stop at Cagayan de Oro. We're using PAL's Q400 next-gen aircraft on a short hop like this, and not too long, we were called for boarding, and we were moving at the ramp towards our plane. Now this is one of my favorite phases of air travel, walking towards the aircraft and getting more and more excited as I drew nearer. Though flying aboard the Q400 isn't new to me, stepping inside even in this small aircraft is simply magic. Yup, the Q400 has a narrow cabin with limited space, and in this type of aircraft, I prefer staying up front to get a thrill of sitting next to the propeller blades and getting a somewhat unobstructed view outside. Shortly, crew members begin preparations once everyone's on board. With our aircraft eventually pushed back, crew members begin their safety demo, followed momentarily by the sound of our plane's engine starting up. Soon, our aircraft taxis to the runway, with crew members taking their seats. We're all set for takeoff and good to go. We were up in the air before we knew it, and for the countless flights I've taken, well, you know the routine. Serving of snacks follow, and I'm pretty sure you know what's served. You guessed it right, a pack of dried peas. And on this very short flight, you get a smaller serving of bottled water. But it's still better than nothing. Right after that quick serving of snacks, it's either you enjoy watching the view outside, or, like in my case of having to wake up early today, I tried to catch some sleep. But soon as I begin to doze off, our plane begins to descend, with crew members going around the cabin to prepare their passengers for landing. Now it was only a matter of minutes till we touched down at Laguindingan Airport, and as we descended, we were simply greeted by one vast and breathtaking scenery. Okay, I'd like to let you guys know that this is my very first time here. Finally, I'm able to set foot in Laguindingan Airport, which I only used to see before through people's travel posts on Facebook. This is somewhat like a dream come true, to be able to visit this place and eventually explore our way to Cagayan de Oro City with the limited time we have today. Anyhow, as we stepped outside the aircraft, we were greeted by what seems to be perfect weather. All sun with some light winds, as if saying that we could have decided to stay here a little longer. Well, we just arrived, and it seems that there's a lot to explore outside. Given the 3 hours that we have before our connecting flight to Manila, let's see what we can do, and what security or health checks we'll need to go through as we go along. As airline enthusiasts, expect us to be one of the last few people left walking from the ramp to the terminal. Sorry, but we just can't help taking photos along the way. Especially being our first time visiting this place, expect that taking all those selfies would simply slow us down. Upon reaching the terminal, people are asked to go to one area first before they can collect their checked luggage. That's where passengers are interviewed one by one, with their health documents checked and their contact details collected. After presenting our swab test results, we were free to go out. But not before getting distracted by what Cagayan de Oro is also known for, these delectable pastel. Now with the 3 hours of layover that we have, well, we can't just waste it waiting at the airport. So, we decided to hop on a cab after arranging a deal with the driver to take us on a joyride to Cagayan de Oro City and back. We haven't gone far from the airport just yet, but the view on the way was already stunning. I just fell in love with the sight of the vastness of the sea and the open air. Now, good thing that our cab driver also happens to be a good tour guide, pointing out landmarks along the way and details to what it's all about. One thing I noticed is that no matter how laid back the city seems, there's not much pollution and it's not as chaotic compared to Imperial Manila. Or maybe it seems this way for now, as the city's still in general community quarantine. But I'm simply intrigued, I'm interested, and I'm still amazed. And our highlight for this trip, visiting a viandem shop in Bulwa, where a wide variety of pastel and other foodstuff are found. Although you can find these pastel in many commercial establishments, this branch is already heaven to tourists and to businessmen like me who plan to bring dozens of these boxes to sell back home. While we're here, it's shopping for pastels to our heart's delight. Soon after, we were on our way back to the airport. But we just had to stop for a quick lunch over mouth-watering seafood that's both fresh and inexpensive. Yup, it's having lunch with a magnificent view of the sea. Along with our driver, who acts as our tour guide, we savored a sumptuous lunch while enjoying the relaxing feel of the sea breeze. But that didn't last long, as we had to go on our way, finding ourselves back again shortly at Laguindingan Airport. As much as we wanted to explore some more, it was simply time to continue our way back home. And so we make our way into departures, passing through initial security and into a spacious hall with high ceilings that make up where the check-in counters are. Now I found out that Laguindingan Airport, which opened in June 2013, is the first international airport in northern Mindanao, and Mindanao's second busiest airport after Davao City's Francisco Bangoy International Airport. Anyhow, since we had all our boarding passes issued earlier in Manila, we simply skipped checking in, and we went straight to the upper level to pass through another security check before we can proceed further into the boarding gates. Here, IDs and boarding passes are inspected, and once cleared, passengers are screened one more time along with their hand-carried items that need to pass through another check by X-ray. Upon getting to the gates, one can tell that air travel has been finally improving, having more and more passengers filling the airport lately in the midst of the pandemic. And not too long, passengers are called for boarding, and I'm pretty sure you know by now how the process goes. You hand in your ID and boarding pass, they get verified, and they let you move along. Anyway, like how we arrived at this airport is how we'll also leave. This time, we're enjoying the afternoon sun and the cool wind that has a fascinating smell of both the sea and jet fuel. Anyhow, I know there's so much to discover in Cagayan de Oro, and that our 3-hour layover isn't enough to see the real beauty of what this place has to offer, and something tells me that we will be back here again soon. Our plane soon moves away from the terminal and towards the runway, and eventually taking off bound for Manila. Takeoff was quick, and as we continued to ascend, we were treated with a fascinating sight of both the blue waters and the shoreline that even made our departure even more awesome. Meanwhile, yeah, you know the routine. Snacks are given shortly after takeoff, and in coach, it's the usual pack of dried peas and bottled water. And in this flight that lasts for about an hour and a half, we could only try to catch some sleep after a long tiring day, only to be disturbed when we needed to prepare for landing. finally home after hopping into Visayas earlier today and onwards to Mindanao and going back to Luzon in the afternoon. Yes, that's all 3 regions in the Philippines covered in a couple of hours. Like what I told my friends, there are countless of ways to go home. I sometimes choose to make some side trips if time and opportunities allow it. For a difference of a few hundred pesos, we chose to get a glimpse of Cagayan de Oro for a bit, and that few extra bucks was simply worth it. As I disembarked from the plane, I've been thinking, there's more to just pastel as a reason for visiting Cagayan de Oro. With our short visit there today, I know there's more to it, and like General Douglas MacArthur once said, quote-unquote, I shall return. With travel buddy Luis Nable, this is Mitch Young. Thank you very much for watching.